Hello everyone, thanks to the power of the internet, I get to talk with you all. And last week, if you watched it, it's okay if you didn't, I did a deck list on Alfred. Because he came out in this festival collection, which came out really recently for the rest of the world. And the other deck, because I am wearing Dragon Empire, is the Vyrgilla deck. Now, because of some banless shenanigans going on, and release dates for the start decks going on being delayed, I was left in a weird spot of whether I wanted to do this or not, because this is the deck list they gave. You know, it looks pretty good, nothing to complain about. But in the, festival, there's only one card being released for this. It's the new Vyrgilla. Alright. Well, this is the delay. So a lot of people are saying Vyrgilla can't be played. It's just not going to show up. And I want to figure out whether or not that can be true or not. So I'm going to go to a great site. For those of you who don't know it, it's called VG Paradox. A lot of toppings and deck lists, it gets posted here. Thanks to Fuzzy for the hard work and dedication. So I'm just going to look at these first three lists, alright? And see what we can glean from them. Because normally there's a deck building philosophy between, what is topping, what's not, because there's always discussion. Everyone looks at what tops, either fixes that or go like, I'm going to play that. And just for the sake of right now, I'm going to hide my camera. Boop. Alright, so as we can see, the ride line's pretty much the same. That's just base Vyrgilla. It's cooler than ours, but that's fine. So if we note, the new ace unit, which we do have, is added. We have the new split. He's the guy who says countercharge or CB1, find a new, grade 3 for counterblast. And comes in, BT09. Well, we're at BT08, so we would have to find something new. She is definitely already in here. So the only things at this deck list at the moment is BT09. I believe this comes in the trial deck. For those of you who don't know, this is the new Cosmo. It basically says if it is called from the Vanguard's effect, the CB is free. And the CB is if it's in drop, it can call itself. And when your fun guy stands, it gets to stand too. And their new order, which is basically a Soul Blast version of Nectar from Stochea. It's basically, hey, it gets 10k if it stood from a Vanguard's effect. I believe if you Persona Road, go critical. We'll go over it later more. Alright, let's look at the next one. Well, this one adds a new card, drops the one from BT09, so we get a little bit more clarification. This one adds in a defensive roar, but once again, it's a 1-1 split of those orders. The base Vyrgilla being played at max, the promo, and we have one, drag fall going on. So let's look at the final deck list. So once again, we see one of these. I don't think it was in the first one, but that is fine. This one went for a different approach, but for the most part, I'm starting to see the ratios. Meaning, we have a pretty good place to start off and figure out how to reconstruct one of these. So, what does the start deck actually include? Well, it gives everyone basically 4 of everything what they need, but so did the original start deck that we already had access to. The only difference is we do not have the new grade 2, the beginning over here of N-Wing, and we don't have the new Cosmo. And, of course, last but not least, we do not have the Blazing Star Cross. However, we still have Stardust Blade. Just once again, going over all of this, once again in drop, if you have, the grade 2 15k, you can CB1, call this from drop. If that stood, stand this as well, so you get nice columns of 23 if you didn't Persona Ride. N-Wing was played in at least one of them, so When this unit is placed on rear guard, if you have a grade 3 or higher with Vyrgilla in its card name, pay the cost. EB3, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and bind it. When your rear guard with and server and its card name attacks, it gets plus 5k. And in Guardian, this is a 15k shield as long as you have a grade 3 Virgilla. That's not too bad. And like I said, this is basically Nectar with cost. Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your units that includes Alshiva, once again the grade 2. And during that turn, it gets plus 10k. If your opponent is grade 3 or greater, it gets when it's stand. If your opponent is grade 3, if your opponent has 3 or more cards in their bind, or you have Persona Road, it gets a crit. So, I think, in at least my non-professional opinion, and somewhat professional opinion, I still think this can be played even with the delay that we have seen. Because there's still a good baseline, there's just not a complete pressure package. So I'm just going to quickly pull up, Vang Pro. So let's start putting together, like, a basis for the deck. We, of course, need It would help if I could actually goddamn spell. Is it? Yeah, there we go. So, filling out the ride line, we have, the grade 3, and we're going to include a full set in the main deck. We, of course, are playing the ride line as is. We're going to put one of the orders. It's the only one we have, so for the moment, we're just going to put one and see if there's anything that fits better. Of course, we need Escher, full playset of what we saw. Now, when it comes to this grade 3, we have to think about it, because I believe the ratio was either 2 to 3. So we have some room to think. I'm going to throw in 2, because that seems to be the general consensus. You don't need him specifically, but he's always nice to see. And that's everything with that at least says Vyrgilla. Of course, now that we have Festival, everyone is throwing in the 1 ace unit, if I can find it. Here he is. Now, as much as I would love to include, Flare Cosmo, we can't do that because the card's not real. But, however, do you know what is real? Cosmo. While it's not the exact version you want, it is still a restander and fills in the deck. This one just says you can energy charge instead of, you get a free revive. But you really got to think of what is in the meta at the moment. Well, until English, gets its official ban list, because don't forget, the last one we have gotten was Sojo Dojis. So there's a few possibilities that could happen. What I wish to happen is they just give us both the ban list at the same time, so it hits Reziel and it hits Bav at the same time. Probably not going to happen. So we're only going to really get the Reziel hit, which means more years of Bav. Now, Bav does play one back row retire, which is probably why the CB, get your Cosmo back, is really appealing. This wouldn't have that. So, there are some ups and downs. However, we can substitute the fact that we also have Shenries. I'm just going to add Sentinels while I'm here. God, I hope I spelled Shenry right. While I'm scrolling down, I see one defensive roar. Once again, we don't have that limit, but I'm assuming we will get that hit soon, so just be wary of that. Wow, while I'm trying to find Shenry, I'm just finding everything else I want to add into the deck. So, did I misspell Shenry? I did. So we want to substitute, of course, more Shenry. From what we saw from, like, these deck lists that I'm just going back to, you know, figure out. Ratios. Once again, yeah. That's Shenry, that's being played at 4, and we have to and 3. We definitely have to substitute a lot because we do lose some consistency, and we need some of her. I just saw her while rolling by. There we go, 4 of these. So let's go over what we so far have. I put in the 1 because most people are playing 1, you know, far heart. It's great. When it's discarded, CB or EB, which you should have plenty of energy because you're playing the original Cosmo. To pay for that, you draw a card, or if you have Persona'd, which you're doing quite often, you choose 1 grade 1 from your drop and call it to back row. Well, we'll see if that's impactful, because don't forget, that brings back our Cosmo, that can bring back a Shenry if we Soul Blast it, and it can bring back a Nimlin. Why is that important? Well, let's go over. When this unit is placed on rear, CB, look at the top 7, choose up to 1 grade 3 or greater from among them, and add it to your hand. So this is getting back your OG Vyrgilla. This is getting back your new Vyrgilla. And if you didn't see anything, you countercharge her cost again. So it's basically a free search when it's ever placed on rear, which means if you do it off of Farheart, it still gets to activate. Also, if a rearguard was retired or bound, which you are doing, you're binding, she gets plus 5k, making her a 13k booster. And of course, we just have all of the new one. Because what does the new one do? Rewrite. Hand. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, bind, you know, rewrite the Star of Vyrgilla. That's your base one. Ride this card as stand and perform all of the following. At the end of the turn, ride the card that was bound as rest. Hey, look. Sorry. Search your deck or drop for up to 1 Galaxian. Call it a rear. Search your deck or drop for up to 1 ultimate skill card. Reveal it and put it in your hand. If you search the deck, shuffle. What's your ultimate skill? It's this. It's your Stardust Blade in the new one. Well, but because we don't have the new one, we only have really this going for us. So I would honestly think of something to cut just to add a second one maybe. Because don't forget, we still don't have a Regalia in here, nor do we have our normal, you know, shield. So let's go and try to add those. Oh god, where is everything? Oh, I'm searching grade 3s. That would be why I can't find it. So of course, we want Twin Cast. We got to cut 1 more card. And I already kind of like the ratio, so we're going to actually cut a Shenry to add in our Twin Cast. And I would love to find our Blitz Sanctitude. Thank you very much. Alright, so once again, we're starting to put everything back together. Sorry if I'm being over the place. I'm trying to build and think as I go. And also, as you saw, you can call a Galaxian, which is your 15k guy who you want to see always. But of course, at end of turn, this unit gets Vanguard once per turn. When this unit attacks CB, stand all of your front row rears, and this unit gets drive +1 until end of that battle, and all your front row get 5k for each card with the same card name as this unit in your soul. So once again, the longer you play, the stronger your front row gets, essentially. And hey, this is the promo. I think it's also reprinted in Festival, so it's now your time to really get this if you want to, because everyone's going to be depressed about the news that, oh, it's being pushed off, this deck isn't going to be good. Well, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Virgilla, bind this card. Choose your grade 2 on your rear until end of your turn. It can't be chosen by your opponent's card effect, and it gets an additional 5k power and shield, meaning it's a 20k attacker and 20k shield, which is goddamn hysterical to me. So yeah, I think this looks like a pretty good, main deck. The only issue right now, currently, is what happens if Stardust Blade gets damaged. Well, then you're, up shit's creek without a paddle. So we gotta think. We could cut another Shenri, which isn't so bad. A lot of lists are either playing 4 or a few of them. But honestly, in my personal opinion, because this is a Galaxian searchable and nowhere near as good, as the new printed one, I think it would be okay to currently cut a copy just for additional one of these special moves, just for consistency. If you want to ball it with the one of, I totally understand. Now, if we go searching for some triggers, honestly, for heal, 1 OT that says restand, I'm personally of the opinion of full fronted out and just leave the rest for crits. Save this as Virgil minus deck set. Let's just do a test hand real quick. Honestly, because this is searchable because of our grade 1, I don't really think we need it. The grade 2 is really good because we can just hard play that. So yeah, I think we mulligan the trigger 2 and we be incredibly greedy. Well, we got PGs for days. I'm not really such an expert on this deck as what to do, but I know we can search any card off the grade 2. And because our other one is searchable, I don't really think we need this currently, so we can discard that for Ride. Now we don't really need to worry about our next step because, we can Soul Blast 1 to Ride. So we take our damage, we draw for turn, we got another one anyway, so that's fine. Put that to drop, and then we Ride. If you have 4 more rear guards, we can go critical. And when this unit is rode upon, I can look at top 7, but because we're riding on Vyrgilla, we can search out anything. So I really think we gotta push right now, but I don't think we have the units to do so, meaning I probably messed up my, my mulligan right there, which is fine. So I think, out of caution, we do this. We CB1 and then look at top 7. Well, we don't find anything, which is tragedy, but at least we countercharge for it. And then we can just commit. Sadly, I wish we had one more, so I probably should have saved something, but that's fine. My opponent's grade 1, so if I really want to commit to this rush, I can do this, because even if they get a defensive, Escher is just a massive dude who says even if they get a defensive, they still have to guard. So, battle, swing, swing, drive check. I'm just all the PGs. All of them. You can see that's 23. Now we can take some damage, but if we really want to, hey look, Escher can guard for 25, which as long as they're not boosting their Vanguard, gets us to where we have to be. So we can just pretty much stay at low damage. We'll take one more. And this is why I'm running 2 of them. Alright, so yeah, end of turn. Yeah, this isn't so good for us because I'm just currently bricked up on PGs, which for a real game isn't so bad because Bav is a monstrous card to go up against. But we can discard that right up, and when we do, we can just search our deck instead of top 7 for a grade 2 from among them and add it to hand. Now, I think I'm going to try to go for our Stardust Blade because I got to look at the top 5 cards of our deck and choose a unit that's less than grade 3 and then shuffle and then choose a Vanguard. It gets when your rear guard is retired, blah, 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 blah. Basically gets plus 3k for everything I do. So, ride deck, ride up. Now we just get to deck search. I want this, just making sure one last time I can do that. Yep, choose up to one grade 2 card. So that's a fine activation. I can CB play it, and then look at my top 5. God, I hate this game. Oh well. We can still call her and do her effect after a deck shuffle to see if we can't get the new grade 3 as well. So get to look at top 7. Why would I ever see it? And then we get to choose what we countercharge. I'll just do another version of her. Hey, he's going to get plus 3k for a lot of things, but more importantly, I can choose one of my opponent's rear guard, bind it, and then choose a card from drop. Oops, I might have already set that up. Call it to rear. We can move that up. This Soul Blast, choose one of my units with Esker in its name. It gets 5k. My opponent's grade 3 or greater, which is not. I got 10k instead. And at the end of the turn, I will have a Vyrgilla, and I played a finishing move. I can put this in Soul and draw a card and countercharge, so I'm really not paying any single cost associated with anything. So, power plus 5, which already makes this 28, so my opponent's currently grade 2, so they're not sitting in the happiest location. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Get back there, good sir. 15. What is that? 18. 21. Yep. Whoa, he's big and my opponent's still just grade 2. So I wish I had the grade 3 searched off of anything, but of course, because this will restand, swing, CB, stand. Whoa! Drive check 1. This is why we run fronts. Drive check 2. Would have loved to see you sooner. Push. Push. Hey, it's end of turn. We have all of these requirements. I will put this into Soul. Sorry. To Soul. I draw a card. Hey, that's pretty good for guarding value. And then we will once again countercharge 1. Meaning for this turn, I've somewhat counterblasted 3 and have seen no repercussions whatsoever. I still have an open CB to play against my opponent. And while I do not have my win condition because I just have the world's most shittiest luck, I think this is good still. Let's open this back up. So going over it, I still think this deck is playable, and I think a lot of people should still try to be on this. Even if Bav goes unhit, even if Reziel goes off hit, this deck does an amazing job at rushing, as you just saw. And even if you go second, if you find one, just one of these rewrite forms, you can still use the original Virgilla's revive effect and then just go into Alfknight to get yet another search and fill your board. And note how the grade 2 also goes critical as long as you decide to rush your opponent. Meaning at the end of the day, I still think this is good. If you want to be funnier and play more defensive roar, because currently it's not hit, but just be no, it could be, which is why you just run the 1 for safety reasons. Just to not even give OT, but just go, this is a 25k shield. I get it back to hand just to play it again to be a 15k attacker with the restander. You're sitting in a good position. But let me know what you think, because I do get people being very depressed that it's being pushed off. I myself wanted to play funny, better Grandfia Plant Dragon. I won't get to now, which makes me sad. The only other thing you got to look out for when it comes out eventually in BT9 is, Heart Lulu, but for the moment being, I think, from what we just saw, it's good. If you made it past my ramblings, thank you very much, and see you in the next one.